Hey guys, I want to disclaim this episode was a little shoddy on my end for the audio recording. Um, we had some issues with the previous software that we were using, and we tried something new. I think I figured out the issues, so please just endure this one episode. The next one's going to be a lot better as far as an audio standpoint goes, and I do apologize deeply that it's not the greatest on my end, and I promise that the next one will be better.
Some. Which is the past. She governs the memory, consequences, and what cannot be undone.
Okay.
She's going to be associated with like your ancestral and the cosmic weight. So that is what Erd is. And then you're going to have your dandy. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I call her.
I've heard her name said a bunch of ways, but I've always been able to pronounce it as her dandy.
That's how I pronounce it because that's how it's spelled. But she represents
modern scripture, right?
Right, yeah. And she's going to be the present, which is becoming. She represents your motion, choice, and unfolding reality.
Okay.
She's the moment where action matters. And then we're going to have Scud. I don't know if I'm saying that right either.
Skuld, and then Skaldi, and then I guess it's all, I always know it as like Skull.
Yeah, I just call it Scud because the way I see it is Skud.
Right.
So there's so many different pronunciations, but we're just going to go with mine for this. She's your future. So she's future debt. And what that means is she's closely tied to necessity, destiny, and obligations. And she appears at Ragnarok. She's linking fate to cosmic reckoning.
Okay, so would she be the one that controls all the threats, right?
Right.
Okay. So there's that. Like, she's the end all be all of kind of fate.
Basically.
Right. And then the other two are, as you said, past, present. Which,
right.
Now, past being like the key, like keeper of the past, or like how do we view that?
She's the past. She represents your past, like I said, your memory, and like that. Like she represents the memory of what you've done.
Okay, just a certain individual as you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like Mimir, who is the knowledge of all things that have happened.
Right.
Percent, right. As you speak from a plural to a singular transition.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. So they reside in Asgard, right? Well, they dwell with the gods.
Yeah.
I thought the well that's there.
They do. They are actually beneath Yggdrasil's roots. That's where they are.
Right. And so what is their purpose there at the well? Well, the root of Yggdrasil.
Well, their purpose would be, so basically it's to maintain like the cosmic, how do I put it? the cosmic role, not mortality. It's to contain the cosmic balance.
So
That's
like a
what
maintenance of reality kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not mortality roles, if that makes sense.
Okay. So the well, I believe it's called Brunner. If I'm probably saying that so wrong, but that's where they mix it with the clay, right? And then they pour it over the roots, or well, they kind of pat it on there. I guess you don't really pour the clay mixture on top of the root. I guess to more or less keep the roots of Yggdrasil healthy in that aspect. I guess that'd be more towards the reality or the maintenance of reality. So like it would protect the world tree from rotting. Meaning, the way I see it is, fate is not static; it's ever changing. But you have Skuld, who already knows the fate of pretty much everything, right? So I did feel like it's a bit of an argumentative position or stance. But...
Yeah, and that's where people can comment and like let us know their stance on it.
Right, for sure. Right, always we open. Obviously, we post on a platform that we want to hear everybody's feedback on it.
Right.
So they like Odin himself can't even challenge these three.
No.
That part I struggle with because he's the high one. They're not goddesses per se, right? We've established it. So how is it that the Allfather can't deter Ragnarok from happening itself, according to the Norse, right?
Right.
I struggle with that.
Well, you got to think Odin is the one who seeks their wisdom, and he cannot command them. So just they're the ones who gave him like the that knowledge. They're the ones who are that helped him, not him help them, because they're the ones who helped him see. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, the outlining of what's to come, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So is it more of a Odin, not just only he obviously respects their position, like in what they do, almost a male submissive to the fate.
I didn't want to say submissive.
No,
kind of just because you gotta think he sacrificed greatly to understand fate, not never to escape it. He didn't submit to them. He kind of like how he did, like we discussed with Freya, like asked and was willing to sacrifice himself so that he could gain that fate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so what is Orlog? And you got Orlog, the word, and the myth of free will, right? Which is often what I've understood is Orlog is misunderstood as simple destiny.
Yeah,
it's from what I've read and kind of learned, because it's the sum of all past actions and the weight of ancestral choices, not just your own. How does that affect the non-ancestral?
I don't think it really. I'm trying to think how to put it. I want to put it right.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know, honestly, on that one. Because it becomes controversial at that point, in my opinion. Like, I personally don't think it would affect, but that's just me. I don't know what other Norse pagans are going to go with.
Right. See, the way I say it, it's just not, it doesn't seem fair to the non-ancestrals that those past actions or past lives weighed against you, more or less. So that's the way I see it. That's the way I interpret that. Like, again, interpretation. Why we're here. We're going to talk. But
I agree with you. So that's why, but I don't know how others are going to see what me and you are saying.
Yeah.
And agree with it.
Right. They don't have to.
I don't care either.
I'm throwing it out there. Like, this is the way I see it, and this is my interpretation of it. Okay.
Right.
But then you have, again, the other side of that is the moment of consequence, right? So now you have the present where everything, just as much as what you do, matters just as much. So it's like, it's fighting itself. But I don't really think, but then it gets mucky, is the way I see it, is then now, like, you're determining, or it's going to change whether you go to hell or Valhalla, in a sense, and just like we talked about with the deconstruction of Christianity, is like hell is not or like punishment or an eternal punishment.
Right.
You know.
But like, and that's kind of where I want to say, like, so their power, okay, I just want to put it out there. See them as accountability and not a punishment.
Right.
So, and like you said with hell's not a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's how, I just want to put that out there. I needed.
But everybody has heard about the Greek fates. They do differ entirely, right? They're not the same. Yeah. They're not the same. Like it's a statement. They're not the same, in my opinion. But there's a common comparison because there's three fates, there's three Norse, and I could see where there's a misunderstanding that they are the same, but they're not, because the Greek fates measure, cut, and end thread. They're more rigid and deterministic, but we know the Norns weave continuously with their threads. They don't necessarily single stranded, and more or less fate is lived and not necessarily scheduled, except for Ragnarok. We do know eventually that's going to happen, right? So, right. To throw that out there, like, the Norns are not the Greek fates. They're entirely...
I'm going to be real. I know nothing about the Greek fates.
Right.
At all.
But we know they're not the same. They're not the same. They're not the same people.
Well, just like Greek mythology is nothing like peppers. People do assume that they are.
There is overlapping, more or less, but there's no tie to say that any of our gods are Greek gods, but they are very similar gods, right? So you have Tyr, the god of justice, or the god of war, but then you have Ares, who's the god of war in the Greek pantheon. So again, it's to point out that it's not the same. So there is a differential.
Okay.
Okay. Going with what I'm saying here.
I am.
That's okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, I'm wrong, obviously, on the fate part. I just never even knew that I even had. Because, like I said, I just don't know that religion or whatever. I just know Norse. I didn't know anything about the Greek. Do they call them fates? What do they call them?
They are the fates. So that's what they're called.
Oh, okay.
So I've tried gathering a bunch of like different pantheon knowledge. Like Greek mythology has never been established as a religion, as far as I'm aware of.
That's crazy.
A bit off of it, because when you look back, most Romans followed Christianity ways, and now more Italy is that. But Greek mythology and Greek pantheon was never established as a religion that I'm aware of. That you have your own gods that they. You don't see in practice our Norse pagan religion.
Right.
There's a difference. So, talk about the Norns and Ragnarok. So, like you said, Skuld was actually in Ragnarok, or will be in Ragnarok. Not that Ragnarok does not happen. So, okay, where does her role in Ragnarok itself?
She's the one that sees it. She knows that it's happening.
Right, but when it does happen, we know that she's there.
She can't really do anything, because then you gotta think then she's interfering with fate. She knows when, how, who's gonna die, who's gonna, she can't. She's just there to see it. Does that make sense? Like, she literally cannot do anything, because if she goes into Ragnarok, she's interfering with it.
So is it because it's not because she can't do nothing about it, or because it must occur? Now,
because it must occur.
Right. Everything that we know says that it must occur, but can they do something about it? That's the thing. Like, can they? Like, we're throwing out the caveat. Can they?
And my own personal opinion on it? No, she cannot. Like, no, they cannot. Literally. Because nobody can change fate. You're going to meet fate. You're going to meet that. You cannot change it. Just like me or you, we can't change it. Because it's already in the cards.
But can't change it, but you can add to it. Kind of.
Right. And they also, you got to think, they don't judge good or bad. It's only what it is and what must follow.
Right.
Like, that's what they stand for. They measure like the lifespan and timing of death. And yeah, like, just in my opinion of that whole question, no. Like, they just can't. She cannot.
Right. And I understand that, like, they cannot, right? But, like, why you gotta let it happen kind of thing? Like, it's the what if, right? And I understand, and I'm not challenging that Ragnarok does not have to happen. It has to happen. It's the what if, it's the free will thing. And my stance is like, but Odin sacrificed himself to himself so many times, right? with hanging from Yggdrasil and giving his eye and just, seeking knowledge of prophecy itself. Like, the dude did a whole lot, and you can't even stop his world from being destroyed just a little bit. And
No,
the answer is no.
No, and here's another, because Ragnarok itself is a foreknown and unavoidable, because the Norns have already set the course. Like I was saying, it's already just set. It sucks. I wish we all could, save Odin, but we can't. We can't save any of them. That's just the cycle, and that's just what happens.
Right. So here's a question. We all know, maybe we'll talk about it more, but we know, you and I was in hell when Ragnarok started, correct? But the way I understand it, he comes out being on top, him and Heimdall. What's your opinion on how that can even happen? If Hell won't release him when asked, but how does Ragnarok affect that?
Because it's basically the end of the cycle. I want to call it a cycle. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of a cycle, and I don't know. Honestly, that's a good one.
Is it just because the world just started over?
I think, to me, because that's what I would always go with it's because it's the beginning. It's a whole new beginning once Ragnarok occurs. Once it's done, it's a new beginning. So I feel like that's why Hell released it. But again, that's my opinion. It might not be true.
Right. And being the skeptic, was he Balder reborn? Did he escape, or was he released?
I think Hell released him.
I can't remember. Did she make it out of Ragnarok though?
Hell?
Yeah.
I thought she did.
Well, you could be right.
We'll have to come back to that.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
But that's the thing that was never talked about. Is how Balder became, to say, Odin at that time, or out, right? I'm not saying that he did. The position that was, that I understand, is that that's really what it came to be. Balder became the new all. More to come out, right? But off topic of the Norns a little bit. Let's segue. The Norns confused me because they're so powerful, but yeah, you don't hear much about them other than they're the past, present, and then the future, and they're the weavers.
Right.
They're the weavers. I don't understand always how they are just so important other than Ragnarok itself, or at least was still.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard for someone who's newer, obviously for all of us, maybe all of us, to wrap our entire mind. So how do we, to get more into the modern day stuff, how do how the Norns are incorporated into modern heathen? Where do they fit into what we do now?
As in rituals or
anything. What do we do with the Norns now besides knowing that they're part of this? They're part of our religion. We honor all these gods and goddesses, and
I honor the Norn.
Right, and so how do we do that?
Basically, when you want to honor the Norns, it's ancestral. So anything with a ancestral right, not right as in a given right, but a right.
Yeah.
Or when you're truth seeking, or say you're you're having a life transformation, or that, say something major happens in your life.
It's like a meditation tool.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
To work with them, you want to make offerings at wells and springs, and or something that is symbolic to a well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they're just not just part of the past and the present, or just Ragnarok. When I'm speaking past tense of the pantheon itself. I'm talking about modern day shit. What we do,
right.
We should be using them as our tools to connect with ancestors to our current position in lives and our future.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the Norns already know your fate.
Right.
And they're not to be scared of. A lot of people I've noticed are scared of them. You kind of said it, you're because they're powerful but once you start you don't really work with them. It's more so of give them offerings. I know as vulvas, they do work with the Norns, like they do. But I wish more people were more in tune with them and not scared, because, like I said, working with your ancestors, because they're part of your past, like we discussed, and and you can work with each individual one too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Because they all have their own role. So, obviously, talk ancestor work. We talked about in the last episode, ancestors don't have to be blood quantum, right? But then reflection on like patterns and consequences, some more kind of work, like self-reflection.
Yeah.
Right. And then
accepting
accountability for your choices back to being just like honorable, for sure, always honorable. Like that's our main goal is taken, and honoring the Norns. Like we could just say like that segment is living honestly, acting with awareness, and then understanding that nothing is wasted, even if you leave it with that, then yeah, that's your own accord. But again, Stevie says like, the Norns know your fate. They know what they know. It's on you or like all of us to use those tools to just feedback. I can't probably stress that enough. Like that's we say that in like every episode, every time we talk about it. It's all about being accountable, being honorable, and holding yourself fucking accountable.
And honor, courage, action. It defines one's worth even if the end is known. So that's what I live by. Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, I feel like there's not enough that we know, or I know. For me, because I'm a big skeptic. I'm a big questioner. That's just who I am as a person. Like, do you see it like I see it sometimes, that fate only exists, or does it only create patterns? And I don't think that it creates patterns. You create patterns, but also you can break cycles, right? But fate does exist.
Well, back to the pattern. They represent the weird. The WYRD.
Yeah, not like weird, like weird kid.
Not like, no, not that. It's basically an interwoven pattern of fate that is shaped by your past actions, your present choices, and your future necessity. So it is a pattern. I do want to, in my opinion, it is a pattern, but not like the pattern people would think. Like,
pattern.
What kind?
Pattern of like fate, more.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Not a pattern you've created based on your actions, but fated actions or fated patterns.
Yeah, like past actions, which could be your ancestor actions, actually.
Makes sense. So when in the prose Edda, Snorri Sturluson tells us that the Norns dwell, right? Well, I cannot pronounce it. I tried, and this is just again a story from prose Edda, right? They dwell at the well beneath Yggdrasil. Then that even the gods come to this well for judgment and counsel. And Odin travels to the roots of the world tree, not as a king on the throne, but as a seeker of knowledge. Seeker, he already knows he will. He doesn't ever seek. He never seeks a way to escape. He only seeks to understand. Dealing with something, even if you have to understand. What are you going to do with it after? I don't know. The way I under the prose out of that's the way I see it, and it's a little confusing.
Yes.
I have a hard time reading stories and stuff. You got to know a lot of it, or you got to know a lot of the story behind the mythology, like how he writes. It's a little different.
So you have to know how he's putting it out there. Understand his interpretation, which is hard for a lot of people.
I like going off the poetic Edda for that. It's a little easier, right? When you hear it from the Volsung, the Volsung version. So just because I can edit this however the fuck I want to now. What else do you want to talk about?
Should we? I don't know. There's not much on the North, so I don't know, because it's going to be a short episode because there just isn't enough. Like, that's why I kind of didn't want to do them yet, but
I do have a close because it's great. Like, because I can just take this, dump it, edit it. Like, it'll cut out fucking in betweens.
You know what's making me mad? I don't know if it's because of this, but every time you would speak, my AirPods would be silent.
Probably like, because right now. You have it to where in your voice settings, That it mutes yourself.
No, it's when it's you speaking. So you'll say something and it'll click, and then you'll say something and it'll click. I don't know. It's being really weird, but it's fine. That's why it kind of took me a minute to understand what you were saying. Just give me 2 more weeks. I think I'm gonna go to Best Buy.
So, closing reflections on the Norns. Like, we knew this was probably going to be a little bit difficult topic to talk about. But the Norns never ask who you want to be. You become that. Right? But also, like, they already know. So they don't have to ask who you want. Never, it's always your choice to change yourself. Never to change what's already faded. You change yourself. But it's not going to change Dragon. It's not going to change Dragon. It's going to always happen. And I think the hardest lesson they leave us with is that you're never promised to have full control. You're only promised to deal with current content. It's not always a bad term. And what you inherit, shaped along with before you were born, back to ancestral, is also again, it's not a term of bad, but what you face tomorrow is shaped by what you choose today. So the ball's always in your court, right? And like Odin, you may seek wisdom, but the wisdom will not spare you. It just will not. And fate is real. Choice still matters, but no matter what, no matter how much wisdom you seek, it's never going to spare. May you meet what is woven for you, and with eyes open and steady hands. And until next time, this is Upon a Heathen Path. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.